Hey guys, this is Mr. Roxy coming at you live from Lake Worth Beach in Florida. Lake Worth Beach is very close to West Palm Beach and just about an hour or so north of Miami. That's where I am right now. And what I want to do is spend a few minutes with you to go through the call I had today with Energy Transfer Investor Relations. So a number of people had asked questions about Energy Transfer, and including some questions that I cannot answer because obviously there's too much that I don't know. So I connected with them and managed to set up a call, which I had today, so that we could chat a little bit about the macro environment as it relates to energy transfer and give them an opportunity to answer some specific questions so that you don't have to take my word for it, but rather listen to what the experts have to say. So earlier on today, I did speak to Energy Transfer. And a couple of things just from a macro point of view. This backdrop that you have that is very busy on the screen right now shows you some of the videos. Obviously, many of them are energy related. And over here, you can see Occidental Petroleum versus Energy Transfer. About 3,500 people watched that video from about 10 months ago. My question was, is Energy Transfer or ET my new Oxy? So, of course, I am still Mr. Oxy, and Occidental is one of my largest positions. What I'm going to do at the end of this video is I'm going to share my shopping list with you because I have been shopping and I have been adding to some of my existing positions, and some of them were significant adds. But I'll talk about that later because right now I just want to talk about Energy Transfer for a couple of minutes. The macro overview, this is from Energy Transfer. They say obviously commodity prices are strong. The midstream projections are also strong. And they say, according to the bankers, drillers are expected to increase operational and capex spending by about 25% in 2022, which bodes well for Energy Transfer as well as one of the midstream partners. Energy Transfer today, and I'm not sure at what time this is time and date stamp, but it is today. They were trading at about $8.41. I actually bought some Energy Transfer at around $8.50. You can see it's sort of just left of center in terms of its 52-week range. I wish I had bought some at $6, but I did not. My average cost basis after my buy today will push me closer to $8 than what it was before, where I was around $7 per share. The PE ratio for Energy Transfer is 4.5. Very, very attractive in terms of where it's priced right now. The other reason why I'm happy to not only hold ET long, but also to add to my existing position is because it becomes a foundational stock for me, and I keep socking away this nice, healthy dividend of 61 cents per unit, which currently yields about 7.3%. It's not very strongly held by institutions, and once again, you got to be kind of crazy to short Energy Transfer in terms of where it is right now. With the price at $8, it's not a short. If anything, it's a long. Couple of comments that you guys shared with me. So some of them are recent, some of them are a few days ago. Logan a few days ago said, ET, while it seems good value without going into a 3,000-word essay, I don't like the leadership or their choices. I'm sure a number of people will agree with you on that one, Logan. Mr. Burke said, hey, you know what? As for companies whose executives have recently bought lots of their own stock, these include Cliff, which is one of Mr. Burke's favorites, IEP, which is Icahn. I'm going to talk about Icahn at the end of this video as well, just briefly. USA, and ET, of course, owns half of USAC. Bulldog said, thanks for the update. The sideways downward action on ET is puzzling. I'm buying it below 8. As everything says, the future is good. We'll see. Staying long on ET. I agree with you on that one, Bulldogs. I did not buy below $8, but I actually added some today. John reminded me that we need to remember that approximately $2.5 to $3 billion was a one-time windfall from Winter Storm Uri in Q1 2021, which one should take into consideration when you try and figure out the normalized figure. Interesting comment here from Yeti. It says the only thing that will save ET holders now is if the house gets flipped next year. And I think that relates back to the macro comments about the current administration being very antagonistic towards not just fossil fuels in general, but ironically, US fossil fuel companies, while they keep imploring organizations like OPEC to drill more, which is kind of like counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense at all. I asked Energy Transfer who their favorite research analysts are, and I preempted it by saying, I'm pretty sure you're not going to tell me, but I'm going to ask anyway. Who are the guys that you like most when it comes to talking to the analysts? Just sort of at a high level. It includes a couple of companies like Wolf Research, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs. A couple of guys who mentioned by name, like Michael Bloom and Jeremy Tonnett. Jeremy is actually with JP Morgan Chase. The other thing that's interesting is Investor Relations said that Zacks never calls ET Investor Relations, but it doesn't preempt them or prevent them from making calls in terms of where the stock's going or whatever. So not too much faith and trust in Zacks on this one. A couple of the analyst ratings over here, you can see that they mostly sort of overweight buys, strong buys, etc. Pretty good all round. I did talk to them about the Dakota Access Pipeline. We chatted about this a little bit in detail. Kind of sounds like a contradiction in terms, a little bit and in detail. Well, we didn't talk about it for too long, but we did cover some of the details related to the Dakota. This picture at the top here on the left-hand side is actually what a pump station looks like along the pipeline. So key facts over here: capacity optimization will require no main line construction or additional pipe. Maximum operational pressure of the pipe will not change. Adding 3 midpoint pump stations along the route and no changes of additional. So, this is just kind of like an overview of where we are today. What they actually said to me in relation to the, look at my notes here quickly. They said that the Dakota Pipeline remains in operation currently. It's business as usual, and the Army Corps of Engineers is expecting an answer on the study that they're doing currently around about Q3 of 2022. So until then, it's kind of business as usual. Some people, including the activist group Earth Justice, I'm going to talk about that one in just a second. One of their complaints is that the pump stations make a lot of noise, so there's noise pollution when you're talking about the pump stations. So this little graph here, just for interest sake, shows you the decibel levels of a pump station compared to a household vacuum cleaner, compared to a typical landscaper's leaf blower and a tractor driving by. So it doesn't really seem founded in terms of decibels, but that's just how it works. Earth Justice, that is the organization that's trying to shut down the pipeline and trying to lobby and influence the administration. This is from their website, Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer. For 50 years, Earth Justice has been the legal backbone for the environmental movement. See our impact. They have 14 regional offices across the United States, 170 lawyers, and they currently have 630 active legal proceedings in action. They are effectively lobbying to halt the Dakota Access Pipeline, which is quite interesting because if they were successful in doing so, that would put either of 3,000 tanker trucks daily on the road, or otherwise 815 rail cars per day. So it doesn't seem to be a very good thought out plan, or well thought out plan. I looked at Earth Justice 990, and for those of you who've been following my videos, you will know when I talk about a nonprofit, I typically dip into the 990 form because I want to see what the nonprofit is all about. This particular organization, contributions and grants for the current year, $139 million. And in the previous year, they generated approximately $96 million. This was in 2020 because they've obviously not yet filed 2021. So deep pockets, a very wealthy nonprofit, 501c3, which means they are tax exempt under IRS code 501c3. Total revenue, 146.9, so $147 million in revenue. Who are the major donors? Well, we don't know, but this is kind of like a dark pool of money because donor or contributor number 1 is anonymous, number 2 is anonymous, number 3 is anonymous. Well, you get where I'm going. They're all anonymous. What did they contribute? 10 million, 12.5, 10 million, etc. How do they spend their money? Well, the compensation for current officers, directors, trustees, and key employees cost them approximately 2.8 million, plus some benefits and things like that, pushing that total much, much higher than 3 million. Or how about other salaries and wages? They paid out almost $50 million in salaries and wages for the financial reporting period 2020. Back to investor relations, and perhaps on a lighter note, this is a quote from them, so there's no edits from me on this particular slide here. In fact, this was an email response. Centerpoint, as per the 8K file last Friday, sold 100 million units they owned of Energy Transfer. The 8K is attached. I didn't attach the 8K to this. You can actually pull it up if you want to read the 8K yourself. Centerpoint has been very vocal for more than 9 months, saying that they were going to exit the main midstream business. So it was really no surprise. They had forward sold 50 million Energy Transfer units, and recently they sold an additional 100 million ET units, and this leaves Centerpoint with only 51 million Energy Transfer units. According to investor relations, again, as I said, this is a quote, these sales are definitely diminishing the overhang on the ET unit price, which is a very good development. That is what investor relations says. They also informed me, because I hadn't kept track of this, that OGE NOJX Holdings still has 95 million units from the close, and they expect to exit that at the end of 2022. So do not be surprised if you see an 8K filing from OGE NOJX Holdings towards the end of 2022, dropping another 95 million Energy Transfer units into the marketplace. A couple of snapshots from the 8K. This just describes the actual 100 million common units sold. So I'm not going to go into that one into too much detail. And then pursuant to the underwriting agreement, the partnership OGE NOJX Holdings that I just talked about, etc., agree not to sell or otherwise dispose of any common units held by them for a period ending 60 days after the date of the underwriting agreement. So they have a lockout period of 60 days where no further units will be sold. Energy Transfer recently completed the acquisition of Enable Midstream. Energy Transfer, as a result of that, now owns more than 114,000 miles of pipelines across 41 states. It's accretive to Energy Transfer in its deleveraging efforts. That one is somewhat debatable, and you'll find some counter opinion and opinions in favor of that on your typical blog sites like StockTwits and Seeking Alpha, etc. It being the acquisition of Enable adds significant fee-based flows. So we are going to see some increased cash flows from the fixed fee contracts, which obviously were acquired as part of the transaction. And then they also say the cost and efficiency synergy of merging these two organizations will save more than $100 million, excluding potential financial and commercial synergies. And let me just see if I missed anything on that one there. No, I pretty much covered it all. So moving on. I don't want to keep you too long. I'm almost wrapping it up here. Energy Transfer stock forecast and price targets, according to our friends at TipRanks, $14.20. Currently, obviously trading at about $8.50. So nice, almost 70% upside there if their predictions come true. There's 5 ratings on this. They're all 5 buys, no holds, no sells, with a price target of around average $14.20. The highest price target is 15. The lowest one is 13. Energy Transfer is currently on the smart score ranking at TipRanks at 10, which is an outperform. I particularly like this far right mention here, insider activity. There have been in the past couple of months, so 3 months, there have been 6 buys and 5 sells. However, the sells have been sold to cover taxes, sales related to the equity performance, restricted stock and performance stocks holdings by the insiders. So they weren't actual sales where someone decided that they would exit their positions. I said at the beginning of the video that I will share with you some of the buys I made this week. Some of them have been quite substantial in terms of my ads because they were ads to existing positions. I added Energy Transfer, a whole fistful of it. I also added to Occidental. I bought some more Occidental at $28.50. I added to Alliance Bernstein, which is an existing position. It's Alliance Bernstein is a financial services firm. Bought that one at about $48. I added to Icahn Enterprises. I like Icahn because it pays me a very, very healthy dividend of over 16% currently. So I added to that one at just under $50 a share. I added a little bit of Petrobras to my existing position. I added a lot of AGNC, which is a REIT. That one also pays me a nice big fat dividend of almost currently about 7.5%. That's what it's yielding on an annualized basis. And I also added a little bit of Sibanye Stillwater to my existing positions. Two of my smaller positions, because they are newer, are Petrobras and Sibanye Stillwater. So those two are now a little bit larger. AGNC, Oxy, Energy Transfer, Bernstein, and Icahn. I already had large positions in all of those, and I've added to them. So I just think it's cheap right now. I had them on my shopping list anyway. I was kind of umming and eyeing in terms of whether I should add or not, and decided just to pull the trigger. And this week I added to all 7 those positions. So 7 buys from Mr. Roxy in 1 week: Occidental, Energy Transfer, Bernstein, Icahn Enterprises, Petrobras, AGNC, which is a REIT, and Sibanye Stillwater, which is a gold mine. If you like my content, please subscribe. I, of course, look forward to your comments. And it's always the comments that are more educational than my actual videos. So guys, on that note, this is Mr. Roxy saying thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.